So there's been a lot of news on the good old Twitter, social media about the transfer portal. It is just, I mean, from the last time I looked at it, it's been probably an hour. I mean, the amount of guys that are in the transfer portal and planning on going there as well is vast. But one of the top guys that I've seen kind of pundits and things like that talking about is actually Cade McNamara. He announced that he was going in the transfer portal. I do want to comment that he got a lot of love and support from all his teammates. Like it was a lot, which is good. But yeah, I mean, quarterback QB2 is headed to the transfer portal. It'll be interesting to see where he goes, but I actually thought a lot of people that I saw talking about it with that you would think would be very knowledgeable of a Cade McNamara did not give him nearly enough credit of the type of quarterback that he is. I mean, I saw someone put that he should go to Charlotte, like, and not Charlotte, Carolina, the school Charlotte. And I'm like, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, let's pump the brakes. I'm like, and I actually tweeted, I'm like, listen, he's not the flashiest of quarterbacks, like, but he is by no way an FCS quarterback. I'm like, he is a Big Ten starting quarterback. He won a Big Ten championship with Michigan last year. I was floored to see that. But nonetheless, I think Cade could go to, I mean, I've seen Antoine just mentioned it, Iowa. I even had mentioned, I think to one of my friends, potentially Florida. I think Anthony Richardson maybe, moving on and going somewhere else. But just, it was wild to me that someone had said that would just be a perfect fit. I'm like, wait, Charlotte? I thought that was odd. But nonetheless, what are your thoughts on Cade going to going to the transfer portal? And it sounds like he's gotten a decent amount of attention with the transfer portal.
So I think a few things fool people. Number one, Michigan was a run-oriented team last year. They're a run-oriented team this year. And if J.J. McCarthy didn't have five-star next to his name and didn't have the obvious skills for anybody who has eyesight and watches football, that after a certain period of time was like, even if he didn't have the five-star next to his name, would be like, okay, this guy has more talent than Cade McNamara. But I think a lot of people see that because they know he's a five-star. They can't make the separation between Cade McNamara's play, level of play, and J.J. McCarthy's. They just know J.J. McCarthy's the five-star, so he should be playing, just like when J.T. Daniels and Stetson Bennett were battling at Georgia. I think a lot of people were just like, well, J.T. Daniels should play. He's the five-star, and they weren't really watching. So Cade McNamara, he was a pretty, I'm looking at his recruiting rankings right now. He wasn't the type guy that gained all this recognition and attention when he signed at Michigan. He wasn't that high, but he was a solid four-star. He was a top 300 player in the nation. And if you look at his stats against J.J. McCarthy's, they're fairly similar. Again, I'm not comparing the skill set by any stretch, and I, along with Dez, we're talking about J.J. McCarthy should be the starter in August.
Mm-hmm.
But Cade McNamara, if you run down teams in the Big Ten, yes, our buddy Corey is beating the drum right now over on his Iowa channel about Cade McNamara. He would be such an upgrade for a team that wasn't that good this year overall, 7-5, but that won the West last year and went to a decent bowl game, was a top 25 team, and he would just walk on campus and be the starter.
Yes.
There.
I guess one would hope. With Brian Ferentz, I guess.
Yeah, that's the wild card in terms of evaluation. But yes, he should be the starter.
Yep.
Hands down. Graham Mertz is a former five-star, but in terms of their level of play, it's been proven now for 3 years Graham Mertz is not a good quarterback. He's the starting quarterback at Wisconsin. He's the starting quarterback at Minnesota. He's the starting quarterback at Illinois, I believe. He's the starting quarterback at Northwestern. Rutgers.
Indiana.
Probably Indiana, yes.
Yep.
Kalia probably start. That would be a heck of a quarterback battle
Hmm.
Talia Tagovailoa and Cade McNamara, because you're basically looking at, in a sense, JJ versus Cade, but Talia's not that. So that
Yeah.
would be an interesting battle. He and Sean Clifford would be an interesting battle, but he's the starting quarterback at 9 or 10 schools in the Big Ten, except for maybe Purdue and Penn State and a couple places.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, this is it. It actually hurt me, and it wasn't even anything directed at me. I'm like, hold on, like, are we not watching this young man? Like I said, if you want to talk, if you look at Caleb Williams play football, and then you watch Cade, you're just like, okay, these are two different guys. Absolutely, I get it. But at the same time, when you talk about just playing the quarterback position on time and on schedule, Cade McNamara is that. So I do see some people talking about Cade to Notre Dame. I I think if he were there today, he would be the starting quarterback. But I think don't they have oh goodness gracious,
Well, they're
Carr, CJ Carr, is he
yes,
a junior?
the Carr coming. Tyler Buckner was their starter to start the season. He got hurt in week 2 or 3, and Drew Pine was the guy that they've been had there. That's obviously not a Notre Dame type starting quarterback, but Tyler Buckner versus Cade McNamara, and yeah, CJ Carr in the works. Yeah, I think that Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman shooting a little higher than that, but certainly he's in the mold of who their starting quarterbacks have been recently, Ian Book or a uh, Jack Cohn. So it's not like he can't start at Notre Dame, but I don't think like that's their target.
Correct. Yeah, and I think he can go to a lot of places and either start or compete for a starting spot. I that just was wild to me the amount of shade that Cade McNamara was getting, and it's like, man, this is we do realize this is a Big Ten championship quarterback. Like I get it, it wasn't all on his back, but he made some throws in that Ohio State game last year.
Max Duggan has been playing at TCU forever, and he's been like wobbly as the is he the starter? Then he loses his job. He's the starter. Like this has been going on for like since 2018, and suddenly he's like a Heisman candidate.
Hmm.
Does anybody going into this season think Max Duggan was that good of a quarterback at TCU? Cade McNamara could start at TCU, or prior to this season, I'm sure obviously if Max Duggan stays or has an extra year of eligibility, he would be the starter because of what he's achieved. But they're going to play Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. Cade McNamara could go to Kansas State and be the starting quarterback. Like,
Yes. There's so many teams that, like, part of me wants to just start rolling down teams. Not necessary, but I think about Clemson. I'm like, listen, DJ has been outside of his first start, he's been a mess. If we're being honest about it, he could start over DJ.
yeah, because Dabo would be like, oh, we've got all the other pieces in place. Don't make mistakes. Be a good decision maker. Deliver the ball on time. Do all those things. Lead the offense. Yeah,
Just don't throw the ball to the other team. And Cade was really good at not doing that.
yeah.
So, yeah,
He's not going 9 for 29 like DJ did against South Carolina Saturday.
oh, DJ.
He's
I
going 8
really
for 29.
I was way off on him after his first start.
Everybody was.
It's like, man, this guy is going to tear it up, and he hasn't done anything close to that since, and it's so odd.
Yeah, DJ, he had the Boston College star when Trevor Lawrence had COVID and or had COVID protocol, whatever it was, and then threw for 440 the next week at Notre Dame. And based on those two starts, I was on board with everybody else just because I thought, not just because he looked so impressive, but I'm like, well, they're going into this next season and there's no quarterback battle. There's just he's the guy. So I'm thinking, well, Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, he's the next guy, and he's a 5-star. And based on those two performances, which were top shelf, and then he was awful last year. He's been better this year, but it's still not good.
Yeah, it's ugh.